Howdy, and welcome to Brandy's Book Stack. Today, I thought it was time for a book haul. I haven't done one of these in a while, and I've actually hauled quite a few books lately. Most prominently, when I went to the Friends of the Library book sale, or my event of the year. Some people have the Super Bowl, some people have the Oscars. I have the book fair. So I'll go through what I bought at the book fair and then a few other random purchases I've had in the last few months. So without further ado. So at the book fair, one of the books I did get is this old and admittedly rather beat up copy of Daphne du Maurier's The King's General. It's a pretty old one. I don't know if it has a date on it. Let's see. Copyright 1946. So, but it is in pretty sorry shape, but for $2, you can't beat that price. Then I got Georgette Heyer, Pharaoh's Daughter. I do particularly love this trade dress. This is another $2 one because it's an oversized paperback. One of the books that's on the list I'm reading is The Prophet by, and I'm sure I'm going to butcher this name, by Khalil Gibran. And this was a rather nice copy, I thought, for, $2. So why not? The next one is The Gabriel Hounds by Mary Stewart. I've just recently kind of gotten into Mary Stewart, and I've enjoyed the book I've read of hers. So when I see these older copies, because I love vintage copies of books, especially in this sort of trade dress with the dust jacket, I pick them up. And again, $2. Phyllis Whitney, who's supposed to be sort of an American version of Mary Stewart, wrote this novel, The Turquoise Mask. So I thought I would give this a try. I've always been a fan of the mystery novelist Anne Perry. And this A Question of Betrayal was there for $2. So, and it's in really good shape, former library book. Then another Mary Stewart, but a little bit different in theme. This is The Wicked Day, which is an Arthurian legend book. And I think it's one in a series, so hopefully I don't have to know too much about the rest of the series to read this one. But it's also, and I hate to say this since I'm only 48, but it has large print. Oh, I love the large print. Next, my husband and I always used to enjoy the TV show, and so picked up MASH, the actual novel that inspired the show. So I thought, the movie and the show, I should say. So I thought I would give that a try, and all of the paperbacks that I got from the Friends of the Library book sale were $1. The next one's kind of funny. I picked up Henry Miller's The Tropic of Cancer, because I've read some excerpts out of it that are hilariously bad. And I just wanted to have a copy around just for the giggles of it. Some of the stuff he wrote, and it's supposed to be about his real life lover, Anaïs. I'm like, how did you convince anyone to sleep with you using this? You gotta be kidding me, because it's not even, it doesn't even make sense. I ought to find some quotes and read them on the channel at some point, just because it's funny. But it does have pictures of actually Henry Miller in the novel, which was kind of unique. So you could see pictures. Kind of fun. But anyway. And then this I thought was a really nice little hardcover for $2. I've never read anything by Thomas Hardy, but I know a lot of people, I respect their opinion, say that he's fabulous. So I thought, hey, I'd rather pick something up, and then if I do like it, I'll have a great copy. If not, I'll send it on for somebody else, and for $2, I'd be, more than library late fees or something like that. So next, Victoria Holt, this little novel by Victoria Holt. She's been kind of compared to Mary Stewart as well, so I thought I would give this one a shot. This one was actually, it's in the wrong stack. This was just a half price find, and it was $4, so it was slightly more for the vintage paperback. This was from the library sale, Robinson Crusoe, and I just really loved this hardback copy. I have a real thing for hardbacks, but in the paperback sizing. So this is just a little bit bigger. I'll just use this Victoria Holt novel than a traditional, well, actually about the same as a traditional size paperback. And yet it's got a hardcover, so it doesn't get damaged as easily. So I really like that. I also got one of the few Rosamund Pilcher novels that I don't have, The Day of the Storm. So I've got that one for my shelf. Another Phyllis Whitney book, a really cool vintage paperback. I read, when my grandfather was in the hospital, I read the Robert Fulghum novels, Everything You Ever Needed to Know You Learned in Kindergarten, and it was on fire when I lay down on it. And I saw this at the Friends of the Library book sale, and I decided I would get this, see if his humor holds up today. Of course, this was his third novel, so I think it was his third novel. So I thought I'd see how I liked it. But it's some observations from both sides of the refrigerator door. Next, I picked up this book of Human Bondage by Somerset Maugham. This is one, I've never read anything by Somerset Maugham, but I just thought the cover was so cool. It's a movie cover, but a really old vintage movie cover, which was pretty cool. And it's got the description in the back, the movie with Kim Novak and Lawrence Harvey in the movie, so that's cool. If I read it, then I might look up the movie and watch it too. Next, I did get this at half price. This was a novel that I found for $2, which I thought was crazy cheap. This really old vintage cover of Prisoner of Zenda, which I have a copy of this already, but I just thought this cover was so cool I couldn't pass it up. Next, a book not in awesome condition, but it's one I didn't have, and another author I have not read yet, but I've heard wonderful things about, is Edith Wharton, The Age of Innocence, and it's another one of those paperbacks that's with the hardcover. I really, really love those. Libraries use them a lot for obvious reasons because they protect the book very well. And I'm excited to read that one someday. So if I don't mention it's from the library book sale. Then this one, I actually thought I was picking up Herzog by Saul Bellow. And because I saw this up here, and I just kind of put it in my cart and moved on. And then I realized, no, it's actually The Adventures of Augie March. So Herzog is on my list to read. And so I want to read it first. If I really like it, then maybe I'll pick up this afterwards. So I'll hold on to it until at least then. Next book that I found, Rosamund Pilcher is one of my favorite authors, and Robin Pilcher is her son. And he wrote some books kind of in her style. So I'm usually not a huge fan of the kids picking up from the parent, but I thought, for $1, I'll give it a whack. Next is a book I have been longing to read for quite some time, and that is Scaramouche by Raphael Sabatini. It's supposed to be somewhat similar to The Count of Monte Cristo, and The Count of Monte Cristo is one of my favorite books. So I thought I would pick this one up and read it. And I just, again, love those old vintage paperbacks. Finally is kind of a cheaper trade dress for a Georgette Heyer novel. This one is Venetia. So I thought I'd give that a try. Next, several half-price books. First one was probably the most recent book that I purchased. And this is Guy de Maupassant's novel, Belle Amie. I think it was the only novel that he wrote. I might be wrong about that, so don't quote me. But it's this nice heritage slipcase version in great shape on the inside. And it was $5. I just couldn't I couldn't say no for $5. And then this I paid slightly more for. I did pay $6 for this. This is The Monk by Matthew Lewis. It's another book I hear a lot about, and I thought the trade dress and the cover for this was just really cool. Of course, this is a public domain book, so if you really wanted to read this, you don't even have to buy it. It's supposed to be kind of about a monk gone bad, from what I understand, and it was racy and kind of scandalous at the time it was written. This was I think this is considered a Victorian novel. Let's see, when it was first published in 1796, so scandalous for the times. That probably means they show ankles or something. But the story is The Monk shocked and titillated readers with its graphic portrayal of lust, sin, and violence when it was first published in 1796. An enticing blend of Umberto Eco and Anne Rice, it remains as gripping, racy, and terrifying today. So we'll have to see. Next, I got this one at half price as well. I think I paid maybe $4 for it. This is The Black Tower by P.D. James. I had never read any P.D. James until this book. I have finished this one, but I will leave that to my monthly wrap-up. I did enjoy it, so I won't say anything more than that. But I'd always wanted to try something by P.D. James. I have one other book on my shelf by her that I got at the Friends of the Library book sale one year. So I think I'll definitely have to give another one of her novels a shot. Then next I found this at half price. All of the chains seem to have it. So hopefully if you think this is cool, you will be able to find a version near you. This is S.S. Van Dyne, The Benson Murder Case, and it's in these collectible crime classics, and they're really pretty books. And there is a version of these books that have the gold edges that's really super heavy. And most people probably wouldn't even notice that, but for me, that's kind of a big deal. The more I have to hold a book open with my hand, the more it hurts. So when a book is really lightweight, it may mean it's constructed not as well, but for me, it makes it much easier to read. So I picked this up just because I like mysteries. I love classic mysteries from that, sort of golden era. And this one looked kind of interesting. Next book is a book I had been looking for quite some time. I didn't want to pay a ton for it, and I knew I would run onto it at some point, and my husband actually found it for me and said, "Hey, Brandy, weren't you looking for this book?" So he's a keeper, guys. That is The Black Count by Tom Rees. Sorry, it hit his name, but it's Tom Rees. There you can see. And this is the story of Alexandre Dumas, the gentleman who wrote The Three Musketeers, who wrote The Count of Monte Cristo. This is about his father. And his father was a noted military man in France. Probably would be as or more famous than Napoleon, had it not been for his race and sort of his bad luck. From everything I hear, it's supposed to be a riveting story, so I'm really looking forward to reading this one. And I love Count of Monte Cristo, and Count of Monte Cristo is in part based upon Alexandre Dumas' dad, on his life, so it surely will be interesting. The next is, and this is the book I paid the most for, which I I didn't like that I paid this much for it, but I love everything that Bill Bryson has written that I have read. And I think I've read most of what he has written. And he came out with this new one several years ago called The Body, that's all about, as the title suggests, the human body. I just think Bill Bryson has such a witty and entertaining way of talking about everyday things and telling you things that you didn't know or wanted to explore. And so I figured this would be no exception. I did pay $14.49, which is a lot for me to pay for a book. I know for a lot of people, they're like, wow, that's super cheap. But for me, that's a lot. So That's the Body by Bill Bryson. And the last book I'm going to talk about is kind of an odd one. I saw this when I walked past in the large half-price books that is on Northwest Highway in Dallas when we went there for a stay. And by the way, I promised not sponsored by Half Price Books, although, you know, give a shout out. And that is the Reader's Digest Bible. And I saw this and I thought, Reader's Digest did a Bible? What? And so I had to check it out. And when I started checking it out, I actually thought it was really cool. It is a condensed version of a Bible, which I'm sure there's some people that might find that sacrilegious. But what it does as well, you know, as you can probably tell by the thickness, is it adds, and we'll see if I can, it adds all of these historical information as you go through. So, you know, it tells you things about the historical era at the time of the writing. It gives you maps. You can see this is a map of Israel. It shows art. It has some really pretty art pages in the middle of famous paintings that were inspired by the Bible. And so there's all of these particular artist renditions of events from the Bible. And I just thought it was really neat. They did reduce the text by about 40%. So, you know, if you're bothered by that, certainly don't look to find a copy of this. But I thought it was interesting and definitely worth a look-see. I paid, let's see, $10 for this, which, considering like how much there is to this book, that's not too bad in my opinion. So that's the Reader's Digest Bible. All right, what have you been picking up lately? And how do you feel about the consumerism of reading? I do feel a little guilty, I will admit, because I have so many more books than I have read. You know, they say that collecting books and reading books are a separate hobby. Well, they certainly are for me. I do intend to read all of my books. It's just having the time to do so is awfully challenging. Maybe you find it that way. Maybe you only buy a book at a time. If so, I admire your restraint. Thank you all for joining. As always, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Thanks. Bye.